After Snow White, Walt knew the real money lied with feature films. Originally, Walt viewed Bambi as his second feature, but a few years prior, Walt was given a novel about Pinocchio. The story was written by Italian writer Carlo Collodi, and it was presented as a weekly serial about a wooden boy trying to learn right from wrong. The original story is incredibly dark, involving scenes of torture. Once it became official that Pinocchio would be the second film, the biggest hurdle was trying to make the main character likable. Walt was once quoted, "One difficulty in Pinocchio is that the people know the story, but they don't like the character." The story went through several drafts, and at one point Walt threw away 5 months of work because he wasn't satisfied with the quality. They all failed because the team could still not crack on how to make Pinocchio likable. After 18 months and 12 artists, the team found a look for the character that they enjoyed. One thing that helped was making the character more childlike and kind. It was important for Walt to have the voice be done by an actual child. Enter Dicky Jones. At that time, he had been known for his role in Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. One adult had originally auditioned for the role of Pinocchio, but instead was given the role of his conscience. Cliff Ukulele Ike Edwards was by far the biggest name that Walt had worked with, and knew that his voice would be a great guide for the character. The character that he would end up playing was Jiminy Cricket, based on Talking Cricket, who shows up once in the original story. The film had a famous cast overall, but one of the most iconic actors in animation had one line in the movie, Mel Blanc. Best known for his many characters for Warner Brothers, he was cast as Gideon the Cat. However, all of his lines were scrapped with the exception of a hiccup. This would be the only time that Blanc would play a Disney character. Meanwhile, the animators had their hands full with scenes that were illustrated that had never been done before on a feature level, such as animating marionettes as well as scenes underwater. Monstro provided so many obstacles, not only for his epic size, but because his highlights were rendered in chalk and had to be developed through a tracing, dyeing, photographing process on a newly developed type of sensitive film. Several props such as Geppetto's clocks and Stromboli's wagon were actually built as a reference for the animators. Brand new sound effects were created specifically for this film. Walt didn't want any of Snow White's sounds to be heard in Pinocchio. Speaking of Snow White, after testing out the multiplane camera, a universal crane was developed for Pinocchio that would allow it to be shot in any direction as if it were a live-action film. At the end of the day, the film's budget was twice as big as Snow White's was, with $2.5 million. The film was released to the public on February 23, 1940. Despite being a hit with critics, the film was a flop in the box office. There are two theories as to why. One is because parents were turned off with the film's dark setting, but more likely it was due to America's involvement in World War II. Walt had hoped with the film's European setting, animated by Gustav Tengren, that it would boost its worldwide total, but the film was shut out from being shown in Europe and did not make a profit until 1945. Despite losing money, both the film and soundtrack were praised by critics. The film received 2 Academy Awards for Best Score and Best Song. Speaking of Best Song, When You Wish Upon a Star would eventually become the theme for the Walt Disney Company, and later added to the Library of Congress. Many people consider this film to be one of the greatest animated films of all time. The film has received many acclaims, including but not limited to 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, added to the National Film Registry, and part of AFI's Greatest Movie Musicals. Thanks for watching, and tune in next time for a fantastic third feature.
During the last few years, we've ventured into a lot of different fields, and we've had the opportunity to meet and work with a lot of wonderful people. I only hope that we never lose sight of one thing, that it was all started by a mouse.